Special meeting, roll call.
Mayor Westergaard.
Yes.
Stankham.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
Beckman.
Yes.
Waltman.
Yes.
We have one item on the agenda.
I would like to just make one statement on it and with a few people that have asked me this week, on the budget. The city's fund balance decreased by about $2 million over the last couple of years. Health insurance has increased 51% over the last 2 to 3 years, and with the union contract, this is not negotiable until late 2024, taking effect July 2025. The city's general and liability insurance has increased similar. These are the two pieces that are the driving forces of the addition to the proposed tax levy. Health insurance for the police department, which has been paid out of the electrical fund, part of the administration, public works staff that is not part of the water, sewer, and electrical departments. This is about $120,000, which is exactly the amount on one of the lines for the added tax levy. And then $50,000, which is a portion of the cost of the general and liability work comp insurance that is not part of the water, sewer, and electrical departments. This would include the city hall, police department, the library, speaker park, shelter houses, and the campground and its buildings. Transformers and wire for the electrical department have increased over 50% over the last 3 years, along with the cost of deliverable power to the community. Additionally, the cost of delivering clean drinking water to the community and removing that wastewater has also increased with the aging infrastructure, DNR requirements, and new construction that has taken place in our community. The city has been able to absorb all of this inflationary pressure to date, but it is not sustainable with current revenues and a growing, thriving lake community. The water department currently operates in the red. Sewer and electrical are not far behind with current inflation and unchanged rates. There isn't extra fluff or many capital improvements or new equipment built into the 2024-25 budget. There has to be a good reason for an expenditure. The community center is not a factor. Other than what the city originally committed, which is to come from TIF dollars, the rest of the cost of the community center construction is balanced with the Hometown Pride raising all of the funds required with fundraising efforts and grants. Any new business getting started expect to have operating expenses before real revenue comes in. We are blessed that the campground has been able to sustain itself currently. It also requires improvement and upkeep to bring campers back season after season. The attempt is to get us to a balanced budget, where revenues are greater than expenditures, not the other way around. Right now, it is planned to be in the positive by $52,191.
Thank you. Any questions?
I've got a comment. The reason why I will be voting no on the budget is our taxes out of our personal pockets are going up. Every one of us sitting here, including the community, we're looking at raising water rates and electric rates to maintain, to be current, I guess you would say. We have infrastructure issues that need to be looked at. And water tower, well, northwest water pressure, electric substation, campground improvements, new housing subdivisions. You know, we've been looking at that the last couple of years. There's nowhere in the budget for that stuff to come from. Our boards, our park board, our library board, and that all presented budget requests. We accepted their proposals. Nothing was ever discussed on this stuff. It just got built into the budget. Then we put up the community center, and you say there isn't no money there. If this Hometown Pride doesn't come up with the money, where's the money going to come from? Us. It has to come out of the budget. We've already voted on it. that's my reason I will be voting no.
And he's right, the community center is a Thor in a lot of people's side, both sides, one way or not a Thor, because it split our community. The city council has committed to the $550,000 shortfall, which is in our budget. We've taken it away from other capital improvements, so let's clarify that. Because if they don't raise the funds, we do have to pay that. There's no way around that. The other thing is, it's over 25% increase in taxes this year to the personal property taxes, even though our, whatever you wanna call that, rollback goes into effect, so it's 4.0, and I can't find on these pieces of paper. I talked to Teresa today about it, just to make sure my numbers were right.
The rollback from 2022, which was in 2022, was 54.6501%. The rollback for 2023, which will affect your 24-25 taxes, is 46.3428%. So I provided an illustration on an actual, just a generic property. I just went to the map and I picked one property in town today. So based on the valuation of one property being $213,710, if I do that, and which is an increase from previous years because Lakeview got a significant increase in valuation because of market values. That's here nor there being said. So that person, this proposed levy would be $859.96. If the levy were to stay the same as last year at $749, their bill would be $742.10, which would be a difference of $118 for the entire year over what their new valuation is going to be. If we, by going to this levy rate of $868,306, or keeping the rate that you had last year of $749,295, it's a difference of $118 of what their actual property tax is. That's not including any homestead tax or homestead credit that they would receive and or military credit that they would receive. That's not including any of that.
Is that on this sheet, Teresa?
That's basically these two numbers over here
I was trying to follow along.
on this side.
So that house was valued in 2022, the value of that house was 154, and the
Right.
assessment went to 213.70.
Yep.
Okay.
I just didn't want to inundate you with numbers, so I stopped making the calculation.
No problem.
But
So that's my point that I talked to Teresa again today, and I brought this up at a couple council meetings. Our tax assessments are high. We're getting assessed higher than any other towns in the county. Everybody's aware of that. We've done it the last two assessment rates, which we don't control. Everybody here understands, we don't control that. And yet, we do control our levy amount. My point is, we need to, I understand, and I talked to Teresa today, and I understand a lot of stuff that we can't control. For example, the salaries that we've voted on for our staff. The insurance is out of our control. We went through that negotiation. Why do you remember that? I think Dave, you maybe too, with the union. We can't control that, but there is things we can control. And this is my point, and I've said it all along. You have a house, you need a furnace or you need a deck. Which one of the two are you gonna do? You can't do both. You only got so much money. You have to give up something. There's some stuff in our budget that I think we should give, that I thought we should give up to help keep the taxes low, because we've been talking for a year or longer, even before Teresa, our electric rates are gonna have to be adjusted, water rates are gonna have to be adjusted. We've been talking that for since I've been on the council. So that is why I've been in my position. I just think that we could have trimmed some unnecessary stuff. Looking back, I can honestly tell you, I wish we'd have never bought the new street sweeper. I wish we'd went with a used one. And I wish we'd have never bought the new vac machine as well. There were expenses we could have avoided and we didn't. And I voted for it, telling you, that's just my point of view. Some of that stuff we need to cut back on.
Well, the thing about that too is that, you know, I was around here trying to talk everybody into borrowing money at a lower rate. Now it's up twice as high, I'd say at least. So hindsight's always 20/20, but what's important now is that we gotta accept this as is right now, otherwise we're gonna stand to lose probably about $250,000 if we don't get this in a timely fashion. How's that work?
Well, yeah, if we don't approve a budget before Tuesday and I have it delivered to the auditor's office up in Sac City by whatever business close of day Tuesday, then we will revert back to the revenues that we got this year. So basically, being out, we won't get any of the added valuation. We'll be out about $243,000.
Plus road tax? Plus road tax?
I don't know that that includes road tax. That's just, it reverts back to what we received, the revenues that were received this year.
So, my point, again, and not to beat a dead horse, this is all cut and dry already, but our levy went up from what we did last year, plus the valuations are going up from what was last year. We're getting a double whammy on our patrons of this town, and not everybody can afford that.
What?
Us guys sitting here can swallow $250 or $500 increase in taxes. You know, Jim, you and mine probably gonna, and Mike's, ours are probably gonna go up way more than that. We can swallow that. But there's some people that can't swallow this. Then we're gonna hit them with electric increase, sewer or water increase. That's my concern. I think it's my responsibility as sitting on the council to look at the budget and say, we need to trim some expenses. And I'm gonna, lack of better words, call it pretty stuff. Sometimes we gotta cut that stuff to make the world go around until we're in a better situation.
Nobody likes to raise taxes, and I am the last one to raise, taxes. My personal property has gone up from, and I'm paying $19 a thousand in rural Ida County. Cause I looked at it today, it was $19 a thousand what we're paying, and from the time I purchased that property to what it is valued at now, my taxes have quadrupled, my property taxes. It's just, but I also know I want 911 to come to my house if I have a fire or if I have an emergency. I want them to come to my place. The bad part with Lakeview is they've been extremely blessed for many, many years to have a very low tax levy rate. Now, the bad part is it's catching up. And that's the double whammy part that Dale is talking about, which is unfortunate. But if you don't start making some changes now, then you're gonna get forced into making even bigger changes very quickly down the road. Because it's just, as I stated, it's not sustainable. Even at a very minimum budget, it's just, we're one of the lowest levy rates in the state of Iowa, let alone, countywide, statewide, exactly. In comparative to other communities, our size, our valuation, we've been very, very blessed. But now it's the electrical can't take care of everything, and it's becoming very well apparent, at least to me, that it's getting to that point. Unless I'm completely missing on something.
How do we compare to other, like Breda, Carroll?
I didn't look at Breda's. I know that Sac City's is their levy. I mean, the reason why they're being forced to lower their levy is because they're completely maxed out. I mean, they were above, so the statutory limit is $810 per thousand for the general fund. I actually think, because of our debt service, I actually think ours is sitting well under, last year it was well under 7. Theirs is, I think theirs was like $832. Their overall levy rate was like $19 a thousand up in Sac City, if I remember it correctly. I didn't bring the document down with me. But yeah, I mean, in our immediate area, we're one of the lowest ones that have, Carroll in comparison, I think theirs was probably about 12.
Wall Lakes is over 10.
So,
They're smaller
you know,
communities.
comparatively to other communities our size, you've been very, very blessed with a low levy rate.
And that partially that's due to our higher valuations to that
Yeah,
piece of
Yeah,
water
that's-
that we
yeah.
got.
Yeah, that's-
and you've also, you know, to be
Again-
honest, your electrical department has been able to cover for a lot of things for several years. But like I said, the cost of transformers, the cost of wire, the cost for us just to provide power to a new property, a commercial property, it's 3 times as expensive as it was 3 years ago. Thank
So
you,
with-
COVID,
So
but,
with that being said, on a commercial property, do we need to look at the commercial rates?
well, yeah, I think you need to look at all of your rates, especially in regards to, you know, some of those things. You know, on the water side of it, you're starting to have to replace all of your water meters. There's a cost to that, and they're only, you know, yes, their lifespan is probably about 10 years old, but you should be able to get longer lifespan out of that, but our our water quality is plugging them up. So now we're in the process of replacing them. That costs about $300 a pop. You know, just doing business is much more expensive, and like I said, water's in the red. Sewer, you know, the comparative rates that we've done, you guys did a super big hike because of the new wastewater treatment plant, but even those rates, because you haven't sustained them year after year or done small incremental changes year after year, that won't be able to sustain itself in another couple of years. Yeah, the cost of having your police department, the library, you know, all of those things that we even want to say that are essential services, they're getting much more expensive to operate. Insurance, and really the $170,000 that I added to the levy piece of it that made up that additional levy is health insurance and it's liability insurance. And that's really only because of, you know, where we're at with the increases in those costs. So, anyway.
Thank you for the information.
What would the council like to do on resolution 2421?
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution number 2421.
Second. Roll call.
Waltman,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Frank,
No,
Beckman,
No,
Stankham.
Yes.
Much approved. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make that one.
second.
Meeting adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Is there one be?
I don't know what's
Do I need this?